Yes, at last I can definitely now recommend the Oculus Quest 2 or Facebook Quest 2 for sim racing. Previously, in my first review, the sort of out-of-box experience when Link was still in beta and nothing had been optimized in that respect, using Link and using Virtual Desktop for sim racing was a horrible experience. Since then, Link has been updated, both the software in this and on your computer, your Oculus software as well. And now things are a vastly different story. So for anyone that didn't see my initial review of the Quest, I'll do a very, very quick summary. The screen is great, the sweet spot is average, it's comfortable, it isn't too heavy. The strap is okay for people with the correct shape head. If not, these bits can dig in and be a little bit annoying. The audio is crap. The IPD adjustment is 3 positions with a little bit of movement in between. The tracking is good for an inside-out track system. The price is obviously amazing. The screen, obviously it is LCD, it's not OLED, so the blacks are grey, the colours aren't as vibrant as they could be, but there's almost no screen door effect, there's very little God rays, and overall the image is super, super sharp. The controllers are very comfortable, the batteries last forever. In fact, I think I might even die before these batteries run out because they just don't seem to be dropping. I'm sure I'm still showing 90%, and I've had these for weeks now, so they're great, they're comfortable, they're an evolution of the Rift CV1 controllers, more comfortable than the Rift S, battery covers don't pop off, and I like the colour. So that's a really quick review of the Quest 2. Standalone functions work great, it's all good, nothing to worry about. But yes, sim racing previously, nah, looked awful, just couldn't recommend it. You know, a dedicated wired PC VR headset was definitely still preferable, whether that be a Rift S or a Valve Index or even one of the Windows Mixed Reality headsets for sim racing where tracking isn't important. But now, Link is out of beta, they've bumped up the quality, they've reduced the latency, and the overall experience for me in my testing versus a Rift S versus a CV1 puts it on par with wired PC VR. I notice, like previously, you would see jagged edges where there should be straight lines, as if you're rendering at a lower resolution than what the native screen resolution is, which it was, of course. Or if you've got like no anti-aliasing on in a game or something, you get jagged edges. And it just looked crap. That's completely gone now. The edges, straight lines are straight as they should be. Sitting inside a cockpit, a car, you know, in Dirt Rally or Assetto Corsa or R Factor 2, everything is pin sharp. You can read all your dials and your gauges, and it just looks great. There's no compression artifacts that I can see. The colours and the contrast look just the same to me as, say, on the Rift S, which is the nearest comparable panel. I can't tell a difference, you know? Previously it was like, oh my God, this is terrible, just no. And now it's just like, wow, this is lovely and crispy and sharp and everything just looks fine. So I'm super pleased. And this is a big deal now. You can see why Facebook are discontinuing the Rift S, because there's no need to buy a Rift S when you can buy a Quest 2. Now, obviously you will need to buy a link cable, which are £89 if you buy a full price one. There's some aftermarket options, but I'll talk about them another day. They are out there, they are cheaper. They work well enough, but there's other issues that we can talk about another day. But yes, there's no need to buy a Rift S when you can buy a Quest 2 and have the ability to do your standalone stuff on here, should you want to. If you're just a dedicated sim racer, you don't care about any of the standalone stuff. It's not important. All you worry about is what those cockpits and tracks and the cars in the distance look like when you're sat in your sim rig and you're racing. And they look absolutely great. It's a big step up from the Rift S. It's a huge leap forward in sharpness from the original Rift. Obviously the blacks aren't as good because that was OLED. You know, oh, and now of course we've got an extra 10 hertz of refresh rate over the Rift S. We're back up to 90, same as the Rift, the original Rift. So the responsiveness, the sharpness is there as well. It's all just good. I have nothing to complain about. Well, but one small thing that I'll mention in a minute actually. So I'm not going to talk too much about virtual desktop, but in my original review, I said virtual desktop looked terrible in sim racing titles. It still looks terrible in sim racing titles. That hasn't changed because it's got nothing to do with Link, obviously. So, and again, if I sat in a sim racing rig, why would you want to be wireless anyway? Or not why would you want to be? We'd all want to be wireless if we could. But why would you make sacrifices in visual quality and latency when you're sat in a rig? Just plug the bloody cable in and enjoy everything at full fidelity. So, mentioning latency very briefly. The latency, I can't tell any latency. There is no noticeable latency, whether it be in driving simulation, whether it be in Beat Saber or Pistol Whip, games where you have to do things on the beat, or whether it be in first-person shooters. There's literally, I can't, I'm sure it's measurable because everything's measurable with the right equipment, but for me, I can't tell there's any latency. When I was switching back and forward between the Link and between virtual desktop during my testing here, virtual desktop now feels like a laggy piece of crap by comparison in first-person shooters, which is what I would still, and it's not to say it's unusable, I would still use virtual desktop for wireless first-person shooters because I like the freedom of being able to spin around without a cable getting caught up. But it now does, like the Link has now spoilt that a little bit because going back and forth between the two, literally unplug, load up, plug it in, load it, switch it back and forth back to back, it highlights just how laggy virtual desktop really is compared to a low latency wired option. So things have really moved forward, in the last sort of month since I did, or 6 weeks since I did that first review. I mean, Quest Link only came out of beta last weekend. I think it was Friday night. And what are we today? Wednesday, Thursday? Some people still haven't had the update yet because it's gradually rolling out to all the headsets and all your PCs. So if you haven't got it, you will get it, and you really must go in and turn it up to 90 hertz and make sure the resolution is at least as close to the native resolution of the Quest as you can. When I trialed this a few days ago, I've been mega busy this week, I hadn't got the full release version 23 of the desktop software yet, so it wasn't quite, it didn't default to the native res of the Quest 2, but I believe when you get the full version roll through, which might even be there now if I load up Oculus, it defaults to the native resolution of the Quest. At least this is what I've read, and it would make sense because what would be the point in having it default to any other resolution bar the native resolution of the Quest? So I had to manually put mine to as close to it as I could. But like I say, no jagged edges, no compression, pin sharp detail on the dials, on the gauges, on the cockpit, on the cars in the distance, on the corner, on the apex of the corners coming up. It's exactly the same as a Rift S, but with higher resolution screen. It's exactly the same as using a Valve Index, but with a higher resolution screen and a little less field of view. And again, talking about field of view, the tighter you do the strap up, the more it pulls it onto your face, the closer you can get the lenses to your eyeballs, the greater the field of view gets, and the bigger the sweet spot gets. And again, this will vary depending on whether you have this strap or the Elite strap, because for my girlfriend Katie, these two bits here, they really dig in the back of her head when she has them up reasonably tight, and almost gives her a bit of a headache. So when Oculus or Facebook bring the Elite straps available again, we'll be grabbing one of those because she wants to be able to use this without it being uncomfortable. Whereas for me, I have no problem with those little bits at all. I've also got some cool ideas coming up about audio solutions for these because I'm a big audio person, and these to me are just unusable. They sound like mobile phone speakers or crappy laptop speakers. But I'm waffling on and I've lost what the hell I was talking about. No idea. Anyway, I think I've probably covered everything you need to know. It's a big yes from me now for sim racing with the Link cable. Still not with virtual desktop, looks awful. With the Link cable, yes. No noticeable latency, no noticeable visual degradation, 90 hertz refresh rate. It's all good. What else do you need to know? Link to the description for Quest 2s if I can find any. And the Link cables as well, actually. I'll throw some of those there in case anybody wants to. In case you're looking to buy one, you've been waiting on my you know, review my final decision. Obviously, if you click through, I earn a small amount referral fee, so it does help the channel a little bit. Helps me buy more crap that I don't need to talk about on YouTube with you guys. So yeah, thank you very much for watching and being patient and waiting for this final review. I know there's a few of you specifically waiting for my opinion on as to whether they should buy one or not, and I really appreciate the fact that you value my opinion on this over perhaps some other people's on YouTube, because I'm just an average guy sharing my experiences with the toys and the bits and bobs that I like to play around with in my spare time. So it means a lot to me. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. As always, take it easy.